Most people believe willpower is the key to transformation. Baal HaSulam says that's backward. We're taught from childhood that change comes from deciding to be better. You want to quit a habit, exercise willpower. You want to love others more, try harder. You want to grow spiritually, discipline yourself. It sounds right. It feels right. And it's precisely what keeps most people stuck. In his 14th letter, Baal HaSulam, the 20th century Kabbalist and scholar Rav Yehuda Ashlag dismantles this entire framework. And what he reveals is so counterintuitive that most people who read it miss it completely. They read his words, nod, and go right back to trying harder. Here's what we assume: the person is the problem. My ego is too strong. My desires are too selfish. My nature resists change. So the solution must be to fight harder, to override myself through sheer force of will. More meditation, more rules, more guilt when I fail, more trying. Baal HaSulam begins letter 14 by acknowledging this conventional wisdom. Yes, he says, you have free will. Yes, you must exert effort. And here's where everything pivots: the direction of that effort is almost always wrong. Most people, he explains, try to change themselves in isolation. I'll be more patient. I'll be less angry. I'll be more generous. I'll purify my heart. All directed inward, all focused on fixing the individual me. This is the accepted path. Teachers recommend it. Religions teach it. Psychology reinforces it. But here's what Baal HaSulam actually argues. Personal transformation doesn't begin with you. It begins with your relationship to others, not as a side effect of change, as the foundation of it. This is the inversion that changes everything. Think about it practically. When you're focused entirely on fixing yourself, what's your motivation? Usually it's self-improvement. That's ego dressed up in spiritual language. The ego is trying to become a better ego. It's still ego. You're still at the center. Baal HaSulam asks, what if the entire direction of effort was wrong? What if the real work isn't cleaning yourself up so you can be worthy? What if it's shifting your concern from yourself to others, not as punishment, not as self-denial, but as the actual mechanism of change? In letter 14, he describes something radical. The moment you genuinely begin to care about another person's well-being, not as a transaction, not as self-improvement, but as a real shift of attention, something in you changes automatically. Not through effort, through reorientation. Your selfishness doesn't disappear because you fought it. It transforms because you stop being the center of the story. Your impatience doesn't vanish through discipline. It dissolves because your attention moved elsewhere. Your shame loses its power because you're no longer the protagonist, you're part of a larger whole. But Baal HaSulam is careful about this. This doesn't mean you stop exerting will. You don't become passive. Your will redirects. Instead of I want to be better, it becomes I want to understand what this person needs. Instead of I need to fix myself, it becomes how can I be useful? This is where most spiritual seekers misunderstand him. They think he's saying be selfless. That's still self-centered thinking. You're trying to achieve selflessness, which is just another ego project. No, he's saying something more precise. Change your reference point. What matters isn't you becoming better. What matters is others becoming better because of you. The implications are enormous. It means your struggle with anger, greed, or pride isn't solved by hating those traits in yourself. It's solved by caring so much about someone else's peace that your anger becomes irrelevant. By being so focused on another's need that greed shrinks naturally. By being so concerned with another's dignity that pride can't survive. Baal HaSulam grounds this in what he calls the upper law, the principle that governs spiritual reality. In the spiritual world, unlike the material one, there's no individual salvation. You can't ascend alone. Your growth is intrinsically tied to your willingness to be responsible for others. This doesn't mean you become a doormat. Baal HaSulam isn't advocating weakness. Real responsibility for others requires strength. The strength to see them clearly, to act wisely on their behalf, to maintain boundaries that serve the whole, not just comfort them or yourself. The practical shift is this: stop asking, am I improving? Start asking, am I useful? Stop measuring your spiritual progress by how pure you feel. Measure it by how much you've genuinely changed your concern from yourself to others. That's not a side effect. That's the whole point. And here's what makes letter 14 so powerful. Baal HaSulam isn't telling you to deny yourself. He's telling you that the self you're trying to improve will never be satisfied with self-improvement. Only when you aim at something larger, the well-being of others, the harmony of the whole, does the smaller self finally find peace. This is the real reason you can't change through willpower alone. You're trying to solve the problem from within the problem. The solution requires stepping outside yourself, not transcendentally but relationally. By genuinely caring about another's journey, you become someone new, not through effort, through love. Subscribe so you don't miss the next letter. Each one dismantles what you thought you knew about becoming who you're meant to be.